answer that tonight.
Big city.
Guys, one more time, sorry.
One more time to start?
Yeah, one more time, sorry.
Okay. Kind of.
2 a.m. another ghost in your bed.
How's it going? I'm Ross Bernhardt, CHARGED.fm the magazine here in our Dumbo studios in Brooklyn. And joining me in the studio is Stephen McMorrin of Satellite. How are you, Stephen?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
How are you enjoying New York so far?
Love it, just like usual. It's a big city. It's huge.
So I want to talk a little about the formation of your group.
Okay.
So how exactly did the band come? I know it's a group of songwriters and producers and such, but how exactly did the group come together?
We came together around some songs that I wrote and started building into what it could be. Just kind of trying to figure out how to really go about doing this with our daily lives still having to remain intact, and then slowly and surely it's taken over our lives to where now this is what I do all the time, and the idea of touring it and all that is kind of a dream come true.
It's awesome, and I'm always interested about band names. Is there any significance to the name Satellite?
Yeah,
how did you guys come to that?
I think on a certain level, maybe I've always felt like a satellite, so not in like above things sort of way, but certainly in a distant kind of observant. And I feel like perspective can make all the difference. But as far as for me, I know that if I can just back away from something and take a bigger look at it, I usually feel like it's smaller and more manageable. So Satellite is sort of about the lyrics more than anything else. I feel like I'm trying to observe something about myself and then say it or convey it with the melody.
So to be able to take a step back and look at things and really just put that out. Okay.
That's the idea.
Really. So you guys have been described as sort of a Snow Patrol meets Kings of Leon, Bruce Springsteen meets the UK. Is that what you're looking for, or if not, what kind of sound would you describe yourself as?
If anybody mentions Springsteen, I'm happy. So yeah, I think it's something like Americana and sort of UK influenced. I know that it's not formulated. It's not like we're trying to make something. We're just trying to find out what it's supposed to sound like, and once we would feel it in the studio, we would just sort of stick with it and then start building from there. So there were a few times where we'd get 2/3 into a song and then scratch it all and start over. So it feels like it's been able to develop.
Okay.
Yeah.
And who do you guys draw on from your influences? Anything really stick out to you? Or
I don't want to pigeonhole myself by saying we want to sound like somebody, but I know lyrically I want to write songs that matter to me in the same ways that some of my heroes matter to me, right? Like, so I guess specifically, I've been listening to a lot of old Johnny Cash, and then like that led me to back around to Willie Nelson, but those are really country. Bridge that over into somebody like Ryan Adams, who's a little bit more modern. These lyrics really translate something to me that matter, and I want to try to add to that. Right. It might be a feeble attempt, but it's nonetheless like a real one. Yeah, like we're really aiming to try and do that.
Yeah, and that's something that definitely comes across when I listen to your music. There's definitely this honest, sincere quality about it. And I think it's something that you've even gone and said that's truly important to you. Why is it so important that you
It kind of saved my life. Like it really did. Like by the time I started performing it, if you, I mean, certain people have done their best to make sure you can't find these videos anymore. But like, if you were to go back and see some of the very first videos of me performing at Molly's in LA, it was a really strange time in my life, and I had never played guitar really. So I was trying to figure out how to stay afloat. If I'm gonna write songs for a living, then what kind of songs do I really want to write? And this was the beginning of that answer. It was honest. It was really vulnerable and a bit nerve-wracking. Like I didn't necessarily want to like show my cards that much, but I had to in order to perform it. And then it became so relieving and kind of humbling to get such a good response back. You know, you put yourself out there, and then to get something back in return is at least something to acknowledge as a gift, right?
For sure.
So the songs have always been about finding that place. So I have to be vulnerable to even play it, and that's, you got to let your guard down. That's kind of hard.
Yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah.
So Say the Words. It's got over 1.5 million views on YouTube.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
I don't know what it means. I know it's important to me. I know that I'm proud of what it is. I don't know what comes of that. I don't know what is next, but I'm glad people have connected to it. I'm glad people have seen that video. You know, that was a rabbit hole because we had just moved to Nashville and trying to figure out how to not feel like the new kid in town, right? And so I started making a video for a blog. That was the original idea, just to show people, you know, show people who you are is what I kept hearing. Well, it sort of turned into like this home movie collage, and I didn't like that, and so started trying to bring in something that would speak to the real theme of the song, which is admitting the truth can really add up to more than the sum of your parts. Like, you can become maybe something more than you ever imagined if you just sort of admit that you don't know what's going on. That's kind of what I had to do.
So your new EP is sort of a continuation of the first. You know, you got some new songs added to stuff that was released earlier.
Yeah.
So what kind of growth can we see in the new stuff from your previous material?
I think I grew as a guitar player to a big degree. I think I grew as I grew more confident in what I was doing, and therefore kind of strayed away from some of the rules that I didn't even realize I was following, and that was kind of nice. So I feel like the songs sound a little different, but still sound like a continuation of the whole thing. Because the original idea was to release a record. We got halfway done with it and thought, let's just put half of this out now and see how it goes, and then we'll finish the next half while we're seeing how that goes. That's essentially what we've done, and it all feels like one thing, but there's definitely growth.
And so what's next for you guys after your record comes out March 5th, and then where do you go from there?
Shows, touring as much as we can, and playing in front of as many people as we can, just to enjoy it. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Well, the album is Calling Birds. It comes out March 5th via Descendant Records and Sony Music. And for Stephen McMorran, I'm Ross Bernhardt, CHARGED.fm, the magazine.
For an answer that's not coming. Oh, 2 a.m. another call.